You've probably heard several experts say that fear isn't real, right? But this is complete nonsense. The fear is very real. I bet there are things you're afraid of right now, whether in your personal life, relationships, or work. And this fear is stopping you from living all the experiences you really want. For example, if you are afraid of flying, it limits your ability to travel, explore the world, or even visit friends. If you are afraid of public speaking, it can hinder your ability to express yourself and share your ideas. And if you're afraid to talk to your boss or ask for a raise, it directly affects how much you earn. Now imagine if you have the dream of starting a business, but you are afraid to talk to people or share your vision. Fear paralyzes us, and that's why I'm here today. But the good news is that fear doesn't have to dominate you. I'm going to tell you a secret that I've been using for years to face all my fears. Before revealing this powerful technique, let's better understand what fear is, what it is not, and some things you may not yet know about it. First point, fear is a physical state in your body, which is identical to excitement. That's right. Let me repeat, fear and excitement are the same thing in the body. Your heart races, you start to sweat, you feel tightness in your chest or butterflies in your stomach, and cortisol spikes, preparing your body to act. So, what is the difference between fear and excitement? Simple, it's what your mind is saying in this moment of turmoil. If you're excited, your mind thinks, wow, this is going to be amazing, I can't wait. If you're scared, your mind screams, this is dangerous. Get out of there. Don't do this. Fear is real, but you can control it. Let's face this together. So, the crucial point of understanding all this is that your mind can be your ally, bringing excitement, or your enemy, feeding fear. And now I'm going to show you how to use this to your advantage. But first, I want you to understand something important. You've probably heard advice like, feel the fear and do it anyway, or just think positive and calm down. But let's be honest, that rarely works, right? And there's a reason for that. Remember I said that when you're scared, your body goes into a state of excitement, with your heart racing, sweat on your hands, tension in your chest, and that feeling of high alert? Now, think about how you feel when you are calm. Totally different, right? Your body becomes relaxed, calm, in a state of low agitation. Now, try to imagine the transition between these two opposing states. It's almost impossible, isn't it? It's like trying to stop a speeding train by throwing a rock on the tracks. Not only will it not work, it could cause a disaster. And research proves this. When you try to ignore your fears or simply think positive, you often end up making the situation worse. Your brain is not stupid, it perceives the attempt to deceive you. And this intensifies the anxiety. So what can you do? How to act when you are about to talk to your boss and feel that fear? What do you do when you need to catch a plane, but just thinking about it sends a chill down your spine? Or when you have to speak in public and panic starts to take over? Here is the solution. You will use a simple but extremely effective technique that I use to overcome all my fears. It's the combination of my 5-second rule with what I call anchor thought. This strategy will completely change what your mind is doing in this agitated state. Instead of letting fear dominate, you will reset your mind to transform that energy into something useful and positive. Want to know how it works? The 5-second rule is simple. When you feel fear arising, you count from 5 to 1, and before you reach 1, you take action. Why does this work? Because this small window of time interrupts the panic cycle and gives you a chance to act before fear paralyzes you. And the anchor thought? It's even more powerful. You choose an image or memory that brings you confidence and security, and use that memory as a trigger to shift your mind away from fear and into a state of positive focus. With this combination, fear loses its power, and you take control. Now here's the magic part. This technique actually works like a magic trick. And do you know how I know that? Because I've been using this strategy for years, in various situations. And to show you how it works in practice, I want to take you behind the scenes of one of my talks. I'll show you what happens in the moments before I go on stage, so you can see how I apply this technique in real time. Imagine the scenario. I'm behind the stage, about to speak to a crowd of 7,000 people. You can hear the buzz from the audience, my intro video is already playing, and my body is completely on alert. My heart is racing, my hands are sweaty, and you will see it all. But here's the secret. I use the technique I'm teaching you now to transform that nervousness into pure excitement. Watch this moment with me. I'm about to take the stage, and I can tell you, my body is in a state of total excitement. My heart is pounding, my armpits are sweating, but I'm not scared, I'm excited. The physical sensation is the same as what you feel when you are scared, but what changes is how my mind interprets it. I repeat to myself, I'm excited to talk to these people, I'm excited to share the 5-second rule, and I know their lives will never be the same after this. This science-proven trick works every time I face a high-pressure situation. When I start to sweat, feel butterflies in my stomach, or my heart races, I say, I'm excited. This sends a clear message to my brain. Hey, my body is getting ready because something amazing is about to happen. And so, instead of feeling fear, I feel pure excitement. Remember, physically, fear and excitement are exactly the same thing. The only difference is the name your mind gives to that sensation. And that's why you can use it to your advantage every time fear tries to stop you. Let me give you one more example, just to make sure you understand how to apply this technique. Many people write to me talking about their fear of flying, and I identify a lot with this because I once had exactly the same fear. But I used this same strategy to overcome it, and you can too. Here's what you're going to do. So, the first step is very simple. If you have something that makes you nervous or afraid, before facing it, you need to create an anchor thought. And what is an anchor thought? It is an image or idea that will stabilize you mentally, preventing the situation from escalating into a panic attack or from sabotaging yourself. This thought will help you keep control of what is going through your head and how you act. Let's take the example of flying. When you are creating an anchor thought, it is important that it is directly related to the context of what scares you. In the case of a flight, your thoughts must be linked to the reason why you are traveling. If I'm boarding a flight home, for example, I can think of a happy moment, like my mom and I walking along the shore of Lake Michigan, where I grew up. This memory brings me joy, calms me, and is directly connected to the trip. Now, if the fear is about a difficult conversation you need to have with your boss, the anchor thought asterisk might be about how you will feel after that conversation. Imagine leaving the meeting room, feeling relief and pride for having handled the situation well, or even calling someone you care about to tell them the meeting was a success. With your anchor thought ready, you now have the tool to face fear. And how will you use it? Let's go back to the airplane example. I'm on the flight to Michigan, and all of a sudden we start experiencing turbulence. Immediately, my body reacts. My heart starts to race, and anxiety tries to take over. Here, I have two options. I can't control what my body feels, but I can always control what I'm thinking and how I act. And you can too. When turbulence hits, what do? First, I use the 5-second rule. Count from 5 to 1. This is step number 1, and it is essential. The 5-second rule interrupts the cycle of anxiety and gives me a window to act consciously. So, instead of letting fear take over, I bring to mind my anchor thought. I imagine the walk with my mother by the lake. Now my brain is focused on something positive and comfortable instead of fixating on the feeling of danger. The result? I reprogram my mind to transform fear into control and focus. And this isn't just about flying. This technique can be applied in any situation, whether it's an important presentation, a difficult conversation, or any other time when fear tries to paralyze you. Remember, you can always control your mind, and that's what gives you power over fear. Now, let's understand why 5-4-3-2-1 is so essential. It works like a lever to change the gears of your mind. When you count, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for controlling thoughts and making decisions. By doing this, you break the cycle of fear and take control. With more stable thoughts, your brain is ready to receive the anchor thought that you have already prepared. In my case, after counting 5-4-3-2-1, I immediately bring to mind the image I chose before the flight, the walk with my parents on the Lake Michigan beach. And not only do I imagine the scene, but I start to say to myself, I'm so excited to walk on the beach with them, I can't wait to be there. What happens here is extraordinary. Because I interrupted the fear, used the 5-second rule to take control, and brought up an image that makes sense in the context of the trip, my brain processes it in a totally different way. He thinks, wait a minute, Mel's excited to go to Michigan. Remember the first truth. Fear and excitement are exactly the same thing in the body. The only difference is what your mind is saying about that sensation. So, by using the 5-second rule along with an anchor thought, you literally change the gears of your mind. Fear turns to excitement because now your brain has a narrative that makes sense and, as a result, it buys into that idea. You just tricked your brain. Want to see how this works in practice? I'll tell you the story of Dana, who used this technique and said she had never been so calm on a flight. And Sarah, who was previously petrified with fear of flying, also applied the same 5-4-3-2-1 strategy with an anchor thought. Take a look at this photo. It's Sarah on a helicopter ride in Hawaii. Not only did she overcome her fear of flying, she enjoyed an incredible experience. The most impressive. If fear stops you from doing something, this technique can completely change your life. And for those who are afraid of speaking in public, like Carol, who also suffered from this block, she used this same technique, the 5-second rule combined with the anchor thought. Take a look at her photo, in front of the microphone, radiant. By reframing her thoughts, she transformed her nervousness into enthusiasm and finally managed to free herself from the fear that was preventing her from expressing herself. And you? Are you ready to use this technique and turn your fears into achievements? Now look what happened to Carol. By reframing fear into excitement, something incredible happened. She managed to overcome her fear and gave a presentation to her nursing colleagues, something that had always been a life goal and that she was able to cross off her list of achievements. This shows how real fear is. You can't control the sensations that arise in your body, whether it's when you're on a plane, talking to your boss, or even trying to talk to someone you find attractive. But here's the key. You can always control what you think and decide what actions you will take. So, the next time you feel scared, remember the 5-second rule. Count 5-4-3-2-1. Focus on your anchor thought and tell yourself, I'm excited. This simple change will transform your fear into positive energy in the blink of an eye. And that, my friend, is the true magic of how you defeat fear in 5 seconds. You have the power to control your mind. Now, go out there and conquer.